Hello, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer with 40 years experience in the business now, over 30,000 clients worldwide and tens of thousands of students worldwide. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this particular video on the language of the soul. Now, I'm going to be quite repetitive here in lots of ways with things that I say here on this video, but it's very, very important for you to stick around right through to the very end, because at the end I'm going to be making an offer to you which is just absolutely beautiful and you'll want to take it up, okay? So this particular video is quite esoteric, but you are ready for it. You have been brought to this particular video by your higher self because you are ready to make changes within yourself. Changes that perhaps a month ago you weren't ready to make. I've got 145 YouTube videos out there now on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth. And I've written 2 books. The first one, What Really Matters, on astrology, meditation and reincarnation, the basics. And there's 12 CDs out of that book with my voice available to you. And there's my second book, Coming Home, An Eternal Journey, which goes into things a little bit more deeply. But on this particular video, I'm going to speak with you about something so esoteric and so beautiful, and that is the language of the soul. You know what? The language of the soul is your imagination. That is a language. Now, you might hear me say that many times, but that is something that your higher self has brought you to this particular video in order to get that message across. That this is the way, the method, the means whereby your higher self communicates with you. Your soul communicates with you through your imagination. You know, if you go to China, or if you go to Italy, if you go to Japan, you don't speak the language there, then you're going to have a big problem with communicating with people. But if you are able to get an interpreter to interpret what do they feel, what do these people feel in China and in Japan and in Italy, what do they feel when they imagine their love, that they really love their spouse or their partner or their particular loved one in their life, whether it be a child or whatever. You ask them, what do they imagine? And it's always the same. It's always the same in any language. The imagination is the feelings of love and intimacy and caring and sharing and the wonder and joy and the magic of love and how we all communicate in our way through the feelings of caring for that person and getting to know that person and being intimate with that person in whatever way that has meaning to you. So the imagination is a language that transcends all different nationalities and all different languages. Everybody imagines and feels the same thing when they're feeling love towards somebody and when they're imagining things in their dwelling in the past, in the beautiful intimate moments and magical moments that they've had together and so forth. These are the languages of the soul. This is the language that the soul uses to communicate with you. So it's important to understand that imagination is the language of the soul. And so it's time for us all to expand that imagination and to develop that capacity. Just like going to a foreign country, we know a little bit of the language, but we don't know very much of it, and we can pick up little bits and pieces of it, but we're not very good at it. It's the same with the imagination. The imagination has to be developed within ourselves. And you know, God and Goddess have got a wonderful way whereby they help us to develop and expand that imagination in each lifetime. And you know what it's done through? It's done through the moon. You know, the progressed moon is an amazing thing. And this is where you'll have an opportunity later on in the reading here to be able to get a reading from me that's going to help you to understand where you're at in terms of your progress moon. But the moon has always been associated with the imagination, and the progressed moon, as it moves through the houses of your horoscope and through the signs of the zodiac, is helping you to expand that imagination in each lifetime. It's absolutely amazing the way that God and Goddess have set it all up. Now, the way it works is that the moon, the progress moon, now let me just explain a little bit about progressions. Progressions are a day is equal to a year. So a day's movement in the normal movement of the planets in their orbit around the sun, and the normal movements of the moon through the zodiac as well, the daily movements are equal in progression to 1 year of movement. So in other words, if you want to find out where your progress moon is at the age of 30, you look at where it was when you were 30 days old. Where had it moved to? Now, the moon is the fastest moving of all of the bodies through the zodiac, and the moon only takes 2.5 days to go through a particular sign, and therefore 2.5 days to go through a particular house of your horoscope. But that's by transit. By progression, it takes 30 months for it to go through a particular sign, and it takes 30 months for it to go through a particular house of your horoscope. Now, this progress moon is helping you to develop that imagination, because as the moon moves into a different sign, it activates different interests in your life for 30 months. For 30 months, it brings about different interests in your life, and different feelings and different emotions and different directions that your whole attitude and your consciousness is moving in. And as the moon progresses through a house of your horoscope, which also takes 30 months, it focuses your consciousness upon the events associated with that house. So what I want to do for you on this particular video is to help you to understand the magical way that God and Goddess have got it all set up, so that over a 30-year period, the moon will progress through all of the 12 signs of the zodiac by progression, and also through all of the 12 houses of your horoscope by progression. And that is the focus of your consciousness. That is the focus of your imagination. So let's analyze how God and Goddess have got it all set up so that you can expand your imagination and develop your imagination and have different focuses every 30 months. So when the moon is progressing through the sign Aries, Aries is a fire sign. You'll have a lot of enthusiasm. I initiate is the word there for Aries. I initiate, I commence, I start. So you'll have a lot of enthusiasm in the 30 months that the moon is progressing through the sign Aries. You will have a lot of enthusiasm. You'll have a lot of energy to commence and start projects and ideas. And when the moon is moving through Taurus for 30 months, your focus of your consciousness is upon the beauties of nature. And you will be more security conscious. So I possess, I own, is the motto there of Taurus. Now when the moon is moving through Gemini, there's a focus there while the moon is there for 30 months in your horoscope. And remember that this is all different in your horoscope than it is for other people with the same sun sign as you or the same rising sign as you. So it's all unique and different and specific to you where your progress moon is. And where your progress moon is in the sign and where it is in the house is individual to you, depending on your time of birth. Someone born 2 hours different from you has a completely different ascendant, and therefore a completely different set of houses, and the moon is moving through different houses even though they're born only 2 hours after you. So when the moon is moving through the sign of Gemini, I think, I communicate are the key words there. When the moon is moving through Cancer, I belong. I belong to a family unit. And I imagine, because the moon rules the sign Cancer, when the moon moves through the sign Leo for 30 months in your horoscope, then there's a focus upon I am. Very self-conscious focus there with the Leo energies. When the moon moves through the sign Virgo for 30 months, there's a focus upon I serve. When the moon moves through the sign Libra for 30 months, there's a focus upon I unite and I am intimate. When the moon moves through the sign Scorpio for 30 months, your focus of your consciousness is upon I transform, I change. When the moon moves through Sagittarius for 30 months, there's a focus upon I expand. When the moon moves through Capricorn for 30 months in your horoscope, I organise, I plan, I administer. When the moon moves through Aquarius for 30 months, I innovate, I invent. When the moon moves through Pisces for 30 months, I introspect, I aspire towards the divine. So in 30 years of your life, your moon is progressing through all of these signs, and you are having various experiences for 30 months. So for 30 months, the focus of your consciousness is upon a particular area of the zodiac. And therefore you are utilising and expanding your imagination through different experiences. Now when the moon moves through the first house of your horoscope, you'll have a tremendous urge to commence and start new projects and ideas. When the moon moves through the second house of your horoscope by progression for 30 months, there's a focus upon security and matters relating to your sense of security emotionally, financially, and physically, and mentally. When the moon moves through the third house of your horoscope, there's a focus upon I communicate. And there's a focus upon I communicate with those close. I think, therefore I am. When the moon moves through the fourth house of your horoscope for 30 months, there'll be a feeling of I unite. I belong to a family unit. Quite often there'll be a change of residence when the moon is progressing through the fourth house of your horoscope. There's a focus upon parents and family. When the moon moves through the fifth house of your horoscope, I nurture, should you have any children. I have fun when the moon is progressing through the fifth house of the horoscope, the house of fun, social activities, romance, love, the social side of life. You'll have the urge, if you're single, to unite and form a relationship and get out and socialise. When the moon moves through the sixth house of your horoscope for 30 months, there's a focus upon your health. There's a focus upon being of service through your job and meaningful employment, which is a way to keep ourselves healthy. There's a focus upon exercise and diet and good health. When the moon moves through the seventh house of your horoscope for 30 months, there's a focus upon the partner. There's a focus upon strengthening relationships. There's a focus upon intimacy and closeness and tenderness. When the moon moves through the eighth house of your horoscope for 30 months, then there's a focus upon transformation and change through introspection and reflection. The eighth house is also the house of death, but not just the death of other people around you, but the death of aspects of yourself that you feel as if you've outgrown. When the moon moves through the ninth house of your horoscope, there's a tremendous urge within yourself for 30 months to expand yourself to new horizons. And this comes through foreign travel, it comes through expansion of your understanding, through philosophy and through adult education. Expansion is the keynote there for 30 months in your life. When the moon progresses through the 10th house of your horoscope, it activates your ambitions. It focuses upon parents, should they play a prominent part in your life. It focuses upon high achievements in career and business. I achieve. I aspire towards esteem. When the moon moves through the 11th house of your horoscope by progression for 30 months, there's a focus upon friends, group activities. I unite. I form group interests. That is the key word there. So new friendships can be formed, new alliances in group activities, social welfare interests and things like that, group interests and group purpose. And that quite often comes through your children, because that involves also the 11th house, other people's children. So through your children, with their sporting interest and recreational interest in things, you have other people's children playing a prominent part in your life. And you have group purpose with the parents of those children and so forth. And when the moon progresses through the 12th house of your horoscope for 30 months, you will have a focus upon solitude and aspiration toward the divine, transformation and change within yourself through introspection, reflection, and the wonder and the magic of solitude. Now, when your progressed moon has gone through all of these 12 signs in 30 years and all of these 12 houses in 30 years, then that's not the end of it all. That's not the end of your imagination and the expansion of your imagination, because the moon then starts going through those signs and those houses all over again, but on a higher turn of the spiral, because naturally the moon moving through the 5th house of your horoscope will mean different things to you when you're 35 or 36 years of age than what it does when you're only 6 years of age. And so you can see how God and Goddess have set it all up in a way that you will have all of these experiences by your progressed moon going through the signs and the houses of your horoscope and focusing your consciousness, and all for the purposes of expanding that imagination, so that you can then start to feel the communication that your higher self is trying to communicate with you. And your soul is trying to communicate with you, and your future self is trying to communicate with you, and other friends and helpers on the inner side of life are trying to communicate with you through the language of the imagination, the language of the soul. So what I'm doing for you now through horoscope number 1 is I'm telling you, free of charge mind you, where your progressed moon is. Now that is individual to you, not just something that's connected with other sun signs the same as you or rising signs the same as you. This involves a lot of work for me to work out where your progressed moon is, what sign that it's sitting in. I tell you what sign that it's sitting in and how long it's going to remain there. I tell you what house that it's sitting in and how long it's going to remain there, and what impact that this has with the moon going through that particular sign, and what impact it has with the moon going through that particular house of your horoscope. So where is your focus of your consciousness during this current 30-month period? That's vitally important to you, because it's no good you trying to commence and start new projects or ideas if your moon is going through the 12th house of your horoscope, the house of solitude and introspection and transformation and change within yourself through that introspection and reflection. If it's going through the 1st house of your horoscope, yes, you've got a good opportunity there to commence and start some new project, but not if it's going through the 12th house of your horoscope, where you're seeking solitude and introspection and reflection and transformation and change within yourself. So the 12th house is also the house of self-undoing. And if you know that you've got the moon coming up to go through the 12th house of your horoscope, you know that during that 2.5 year period, that 30-month period, you're going to be self-destructive in certain ways unless you can connect with the wonder and the magic of solitude and growth towards the divine and growth towards your higher self and your future self. So this is the way that God and Goddess have got it all set up. Now I also tell you in this free horoscope number 1 whether you've got any conjunctions with that progress moon forming a conjunction with any planets in your horoscope. Because as it goes through the house of your horoscope, or the sign of your horoscope by progression, if you've got any planets in that 30-degree segment, then that progress moon is going to form a conjunction. And that conjunction with that planet only happens once every 30 years. So that's a very important focal point of your consciousness for that particular month and that particular 2-month period, because it lasts for a month either side of the actual connection there, the actual conjunction. And I tell you, if you've got any conjunctions there in the next 30 months, that's a tremendous help to you to understand where your focuses are. Now, not only that, the progress moon also forms aspects with other planets in your horoscope as it moves through the zodiac. And those aspects can be conjunctions, they can be sextiles, 60 degrees, they can be squares, they can be oppositions, they can be trines. Now, I tell you how many aspects that are formed by the progress moon over that next 30 months. And I also tell you how many of them are positive and how many of them are negative. The negative ones are testing cycles where you're likely to have bad judgment in decisions and choices that you make during that particular time of 2 months. You are forewarned, therefore, about when you are likely to have bad judgment. You are also told when you're likely to be able to form relationships by aspects to Venus and Jupiter. When you are likely to have opportunities for expansion and growth in your life, changes in your job. All areas of your life are covered free of charge, told to you in this horoscope number 1 free moon report. Now, during this next 30-month period also, some of the planets that are moving through your horoscope by progression are going to be forming an aspect with natal planets in your horoscope. And I tell you if you've got any of them as well. And they're very, very powerful because they last for 3 months either side. So it's a 6-month phase in your life that you want to take advantage of. And you want to be forewarned about, both positive and negative. So all this is available for you now through my free horoscope number 1. Your progress moon location by sign and by house, how long it is going to remain in that house and how long it's going to remain in that sign. This is a lot of work for me, but I'm prepared to do that for you to help you to know yourself and to help you to take full advantage of the movements of these planets through your horoscope so that you can take full advantage of the opportunities that your horoscope is presenting to you. And to be forewarned about the dangers when you are likely to make decisions and choices which are not in your own best interests. So I thank you for your attentiveness here. Go to my website and you'll see a whole lot of stuff there that's available for you, including horoscope number 2, which gives you a lot more in depth about what these cycles mean and the impact of them and the type of events that you'll experience for only $10. And then there's my horoscope number 3, which is an audio version of your horoscope with my voice and all of my experience brought to bear for you, to help you to understand what's coming up over the next 5 years or so. But also when you go to my website, there's 12 free CDs there out of my first book, What Really Matters, on astrology, meditation and reincarnation, where I take you in and out of meditation time and time again. Read the testimonials that are there on the website from people who are going through my intensives or have gone through my intensives and had their life transformed and changed. Look, these are very challenging times with all of this terrorism that's going on in France and in the UK and all over the world, in America and Australia and so forth. These are very, very trying times that we're all living through. We are in the process of transforming the consciousness of humanity. And naturally, always in that times of transformation and change, there are always those who want to cling to the past. They want to hang on to old doctrines and worn-out religions and so forth. It's time now for all of us to work together as a team. You are a map maker. You are a giant spiritually. You are an innovator. You are a dreamer and a dream weaver. You are on the crest of the wave of evolution. You are a pioneer. And you are a pioneer because you have found your way to this particular video. And your higher self wants to communicate with you more through the use of your imagination. And my CDs and videos help you to expand that imaginative faculty so that you can have greater communication there with your higher self, with your future self, with your soul and spirit, and with those on the inner side of life who've moved beyond the human level altogether, who are happy to work with you and help you to become more of the giant that you truly are. So subscribe to my videos because I'm putting out new videos all the time. And I do thank you for your attentiveness here and look forward to working further with you to take a gigantic step forward in the expansion of your imagination, the expansion of your consciousness. Thank you.